Hello and welcome back to another video, and today we are going to be putting head-to-head less expensive fairway wood versus what could be possibly the most premium fairway wood on the market, and that is the Stealth Titanium, or the Stealth Plus, which is a titanium model head. And for that, we are going to be using the Tour Edge C722. And to compare these for price, the Stealth comes in at $429 USD, and the Tour Edge comes in at $299. So we're talking almost 25%. And you know, Tour Edge is mostly known for being I wouldn't say all the time, for like a more value level product when it comes to technology, but this puts them in the same category as Titleist. So today, we're gonna put them head to head, Stealth versus Tour Edge.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, RB. I mean, yeah, it's a much cheaper option than something like a Stealth Plus, but you are still going up against some of the big boys at your price point there. So, you know, we are expecting big things from the Tour Edge fairway wood here. I have to say, sort of shelf appeal, curb appeal, I love what they've done with it. I didn't love last year's kind of chassis, you know, with the kind of carb on either side of the body on the crown. I think this year's looks way better.
And from a sole perspective as well, you've got something very similar where it is a titanium head, we've got a tungsten plug on the bottom and a carbon top. So they're kind of working everything here when it comes to technology from that perspective, but there still are other options. So from the E722, you can move into something that is again $50 less in that same price point. And then they also have their hot launch product, which is something that is a much more value-based product. But this is strictly for performance. It's what we're seeing a lot of on the Champions Tour, on the PGA Tour. And like you said, today we're gonna put them head to head.
Love it. Can't wait to hit them head to head. Yeah, I mean, Tour Edge as a brand obviously have put their focus out onto the Champions Tour. There's no doubt about that. It will always be probably a bit of a battle for them to get drivers in the hands of their players. But this one, I definitely expect to see this in the bags of many of their players out on the Champions Tour. And
when it comes to fairway woods, like Tour Edge and Exotics have been synonymous for a very long time as far as technology pushing fairway woods. Combo bracing was their first one with the CB, CB1, CB2. I know myself, I had a CB1 and a CB2 in a forward. The reason at the time I played the forward was because it was just as long as the three wood and went a little higher in the air, which is something we've talked about in the past of lofting up to get a little bit more distance out of your fairway woods. This technology that they've had in their fairway woods for a long period of time has really pushed a lot of companies to evolve, and the Exotics at the time was considered probably one of the most premium fairway woods. They were extremely expensive. Now they've come back to where they're in line or slightly lower than a lot of OEMs, but still pushing that technology envelope. And it's gonna be interesting to see how it stacks up.
And I mean, the Stealth is an easy one for us to throw in there. It's my current gamer. This combo, head shaft combo, would be in the Canadian market more than, it would probably be about $1,000 three wood, which is not for the faint of heart. There's not many people buying $1,000 fairway wood. So, you know, when you look at I think we converted to about $389. It'd probably come into the Canadian market about $389, $399, something like that. You know, stock shaft, it's coming with a 10-set AV blue. It's definitely a value package comparison to something as premium as this.
And I think for a lot of people, they're always putting that dollars versus yards, right? And a lot of times we compare it to drivers, but when it comes to fairway woods as well, I think it's important to understand that there can be a lot of technology packed into a golf club and you can still get a lot of great value.
For sure.
So we've got our green set to 275, and we'll let you have at it.
Yeah, I mean, something that flies about the 260 mark RB would be kind of what I would expect out my current fairway wood. I mean, pretty good, a little thin.
I think that's an important gauge as well when it comes to fairway woods, is shots that you're going to miss as well.
Mm-hmm. Probably more like the flight conditions I would like to see. I mean, you can see the launch up a little more there. That was right on about our 260 number.
That low backspin 2500, like that, we're looking into like the driver territory there, and that's off the deck. So you're getting a lot out of that thing.
Yeah. And the good thing is that the angle of descent's retained there, though at 40, we're still, 106 peak height. So, it still can be a good second shot club if you still have, a decent amount into a par 5. I mean, I certainly would take that flight, no problem at all.
Nicely done. All right, Ian, so looking at the numbers, it's easy to tell why this is your gamer. You know, we talked about the 260 being a good carry number for the 3-wood.
Yeah.
You basically hit it consistently, which is really nice to see. And like total 280 off the tee, if this was your safe fairway club, this is a good one to have.
I mean, it's a nice, I do hit a lot of fairwoods off the tee. I like to have a fairly low spin and fairwood because I do have it for that functionality. And I'm kind of in a launch and spin window that if I curve it the other way, I can lift it that 500 RPM that I need to if I want to soften it. Maybe it goes 250 in there rather than 260, and it kind of lands a lot softer. So it's kind of a nice little setup. That's 15 degree for me, 1 click lower on the TaylorMade setting, so 14.25 on the loft. Yeah,
we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use the same setting on the Tour Edge as well, just to go loft for loft to see how these really do compare. Because that's where, if we did try and go something maybe a little bit higher loft, a little bit lower loft, we're going to see a difference in efficiency. We want to really put these things as head-to-head as much as possible.
Yeah.
And even for length as well, they're basically the same.
And as we talk about going head-to-head as much as possible, TaylorMade, when they brought back VSOL technology in original Sim, talked about the value of that 80-gram sole plate. Well, one of the things that strikes me is this is a 90-gram weight on the sole. So there's no mistake who they're going after here with this particular club. It is a direct play straight at TaylorMade, which I love. You know, it's an option for the consumer out there who can, spend a little bit less, but it's big shoes to fill because it's been kind of club of the year the last couple of years with Sim and Sim 2. I know we called Mizuno's STZ last year fairway of the year, and it was, but as the season progressed, it's so hard to live with the ball speed of those TaylorMade fairwoods. So let's see what this has got.
We got some extra height out of that.
Yeah, kept the face a little more open there. That was the best one, by far, with this one.
Get one more?
Yeah. It's competing nicely on ball speed.
It is, yeah.
It's very easy to hit up in the air, RB.
Yeah.
Different noise. There's no doubt about it. It's got a stealth is very muted when you hit it. It's like more of a crunch. This is a higher pitch noise. Like we always say though, at different speeds. I mean, if your ball speed is 135, which is decent, pretty decent fairwood, won't be as loud as that. And if some players are using maybe like a Project A or something like that, slightly softer compression, it will sound different again. So we're using Pro V1X, a firm compression golf ball, so it's definitely gonna sound louder, but I'm pretty pleased with what we're seeing in the performance of it.
It's great, yeah. And to your point about the sound, I know we touched on this with the i525 video. If you haven't watched it, be sure to check it out. And that is the player that it could be targeted towards could prefer different sounds, right? We always talk about we like something that might be a little bit more muted. For a player who's might be at that slower swing speed, or maybe I don't want to say higher handicap. I know we kind of skew towards that side, but some players prefer to have something that does sound louder because it provides audible feedback that might be better understood than something that might be more of a muted sound.
Yeah.
So we could be talking about a different targeted player. But I mean, in general, we're seeing very similar ball speed.
Yeah.
But a club or a 3-wood in this case that is definitely a little bit easier to elevate for someone who struggles getting the fairway up in the air or might actually be too low spin. This could be the one for them.
Definitely. I'd love to pop over to that compare page. Let's have a little head-to-head here.
So as far as ball speed is concerned, head-to-head.
Dead heat.
But speaking to the spin and what we're talking about, a little bit extra launch angle, creating a little bit more ball spin because of, we go to club data.
If we're going to say it's anything based on what we see up there, it's a marginal strike difference.
Yeah.
Right. So We've got the CG placed a little bit lower, so we are going to always do quite nicely with low strikes when there's that much mass down low in the head. We've got a slightly lower strike. We have a more open face as well, which is obviously going to promote a little bit more, more on the loft side of things. And a slightly different delivery, 1 degree up. So from a spin loft perspective, that's going to change things ever so slightly. Yeah, I mean, very good results. Nothing to be read into the club head speed there. That's just that's quad reading, you know, the heads slightly differently. I think the ball speed, you know, is kind of what we want to look at here.
I know Mike and I experienced that recently doing some irons, and you know, I definitely wasn't swinging one 3 miles an hour faster.
So. 100% same with me. I mean, that last one says I was 109 there. I wasn't. I can tell you, I wasn't pushing myself to what that would be my limit with a fairway at about 109, 110. So, I mean, really, really good job. This is a contender for sure. People will really like this. If you're coming into this with a budget, but you're looking around at the technology in the marketplace and looking at what other companies are offering, titanium, you know, low centers of gravity, forward center of gravity, and this is a 10-gram adjustable plug in the bottom. There's probably some adjustability, the adjustable weight kits that will be offered with it if you want to really, you know, move that CG further forward again. Lots of options with this thing, and I love the sleeve as well. Gives us lots of loft kind of options.
Yeah, and from a stock perspective, which I know a lot of people are going to go out and purchase, there are a number of great shaft options that come with this golf club, as well as, to your point, when it comes to that using that weight on the bottom, we can really kind of start to play around with length.
Yeah.
And for the consumer to be able to do that with fairway woods, have it be in a 3-wood, have it be in a 5-wood, to be able to go through that and, you know, fine tune, because it always comes down to, as we always stress, it comes down to fitting, and especially when it comes to fairway woods off the deck. Contact is extremely important when it comes to maximizing, whether it be using it on potentially long par 3s, going into long par 4s, or going into attacking par 5s. In this case, that extra height on a par 5 would be extremely beneficial for the player putting this in the bag.
Definitely, definitely.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right. So I hope you enjoyed this. Again, we know, and we've done a lot of testing already, that, you know, we're looking at what we think are going to be some of the top models in categories across, like drivers, fairway woods, hybrids, irons, for particular players. And in this case, you know, Ian is our tester, so it works for that individual player. But when it comes to maximizing your fairway woods, your driver, your irons, your hybrids, all of those things come down to what's going to work for you. And in this case, with the C722, this is a fairway wood where if you're looking for a little bit of extra height, looking to maximize forgiveness, maximize technology, and get the best bang for your budget, this one could be the one for you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember, please use the comment section below. We'd love to hear from you. And as always, thanks for watching.